Check. 1, 2, 3.
The D.
Brief.
This is the D Brief.
Go. Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's
arts and entertainment scene.
This is the D
Brief.
Welcome to the debrief for the week of May 21st, 2018. I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
I'm Becky Scarcello.
And I'm Jag.
All right, guys, we've got an exciting show today.
We do.
I know, Jag, you had an opportunity to go down to the DIA and talk to one of the guys behind the big costumes exhibit there, right?
Right, I spoke to Elliott Wilhelm behind the Star Wars The Power of Costume exhibit. They have the original costumes from all the Star Wars movies on display as part of a traveling exhibition. It is amazing stuff. Can't wait to get into that a little bit later on.
I'm excited about that as a
Stunning.
Star Wars fan. Yeah. Also, Becky, I know that you saw the brand new Michael Bolton film that's all about Detroit.
I did. American Dream Detroit. Yeah, so I'll tell you all about it.
I can't wait to hear about that. Plus, as always, we've got everything that's going on with Detroit concerts, comedy, plays, food, drink, and more. Stick around.
This is the D.
Concert calendar.
All right, Becky, let's start with concerts. What's going on around town?
So Tuesday, May 22nd, I think this is a great idea. If you don't like being stuck in rush hour, if you work downtown, you want a little relaxation before you get in your car, Rush Hour Recital on the riverfront. So 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at Rivard Plaza, you can see a free chamber music recital featuring DSO musicians. Get you in your zen moment, then you can go drive home.
So you just roll down your window and you can hear the DSO?
Well, I think you might walk over there
Oh, okay.
or actually like get out of your car. Go on the water, hear some relaxing music.
You hear all these stories about, like, classical music being great for brain development.
Exactly,
This would get you, like you said, zen. This gets you in the right mindset to deal with the stress of any rush hour traffic.
Right, and I feel like this is going to be a series. I think this will be a great thing all summer.
I have said this before. I will say it again. I think we've got maybe the coolest symphony in America.
Bar none.
I mean, these guys do a lot of really cool events.
Oh, yeah, all out and
It's
about.
stuff you'd never think of, yeah.
So on Wednesday, May 23rd, La Femme Jazz with Joan Belgrave at the Willis Show Bar, newly opened. Thursday, May 24th, it also runs Saturday and Sunday, the 26th and 27th, the JCC Ethan and Davidson Jewish Music Festival. It's 3 nights of music, 2 evenings of an art and food marketplace. The first night, the Thursday night, is at Go Comedy in Ferndale, and the Saturday and Sunday are at the Berman Center for Performing Arts at the JCC in West Bloomfield.
JCC does some really great work in the Metro Detroit
And
area.
I'm telling you that Berman Center is a beautiful performance space, so that's reason enough alone. Friday, May 25th, Art Department at the Magic Stick. And then there's a kickoff the weekend at Motor City Wine. It's called the Viva la Resistance party. DJs to make you groove and dance all night. That's brought to you by Rocksteady Disco record label. And on Saturday, May 26th is the kickoff of Movement Detroit. So that goes Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Now,
This is one of the biggest festivals of the year.
I mean,
around
it's
town.
world renowned. It is really the first original EDM festival to sort of set the bar for all festivals. It's been going 20 years, and various names have gone. They've had various, incarnations of it, but 20 years running.
I have never been before. You've been?
I have, yeah. I mean, it's
So, what, you pull out your glow sticks and your,
get your comfy shoes on, you dance. It's family friendly. I would say a little bit less so towards the later hours. It's open
That's
till
nice,
midnight
yeah.
every night, but
Yeah.
lots of people in crazy get-ups. The people watching is great.
I have not been myself, but as a radio DJ in Detroit, like when we had movement tickets to give away on the air,
It is a
listeners
hot
came
ticket.
out of the woodwork for
Oh,
this.
yeah. So you can get one-day tickets or go all weekend for a pass. There's 5 stages. Over the 3 days, there's 88 performances. I mean, it's a huge amount. And there's huge names.
So, who are some of the big names this year?
Carl Craig, one of the founders of techno, Diplo, Nina Kraviz, Sex Troxler, the Martinez brothers. We got the Wu-Tang Clan. I could go on and on and on. There's a really cool smartphone app for Movement. So if you plan to go, get that. I was poking around on there, and it's just a really great way to kind of strategize what you're going to do and see. There's also a lot of after parties. So those are super cool. Even if you don't have a chance to go to Movement, it's something you can do on your own. But I know they're selling out, so check those out. There's also a lot of before parties. So, this is kind of like all week and weekend. You want to check out if you have any interest in electronic and dance music. On Sunday, May 27th, Slayer at Freedom Hill, kind of going in a totally different direction.
We cover everything in this podcast.
Yeah, and Slayer has a bunch of cool guests with them, so that'll be a good show. Tuesday, May 29th, Post Malone at Freedom Hill, another direction. And on sale now, this is going to be a cool night. So Questlove, the drummer from The Roots, he is like the world's biggest Prince fan. And he is going to honor Prince at the Fox Theater on September 28th. The tickets are on sale now. It's going to be a full band, a full symphony, and a video production that's curated by the Prince estate.
So this is like approved by Prince's
by
people.
Yeah, it's the only show that's been approved by the Prince estate.
It would have to be. I mean, that's a high bar to clear.
Well, right. And, Fox was there. One of Prince's last shows was at the Fox. So,
Yeah. Have you been to Paisley Park, either of you?
Yes, I went actually the few months after he died.
Yeah, because they turned it into a museum, basically. This is obviously where Prince lived.
In Minneapolis, right?
Right.
Yeah, outside of Minneapolis. Yeah, about 45 minutes outside. And, he already sort of lived like in a museum in a way.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was already prepped. But I'm telling you, if you love Prince, it was such an emotional place to be and so cool to see his process and, his lifetime achievements.
To be honest, it's easier to turn your house into a museum if it's already a shrine to yourself.
Right. It definitely has that feel. But then you get to go to more intimate spots too. Like I got to sit in the chair where he did his video editing. If you do the
Right.
VIP tour, which
Right.
of course I had to spring for that, but
If you're gonna go,
yeah. Yeah. So get your ticket to, again, September 28th at the Fox. I think that's going to be a pretty special tribute.
And I will say, Questlove from The Roots, if you've ever watched The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, if you're not familiar with their work previous to that, he is an insanely talented musician.
He is. And I don't know if you've seen the clip, he can name any Prince song within like the first second of it being played. Like if you just
YouTube that.
Wow.
Yeah, YouTube that. It's a fun video.
Oh, very cool.
And test yourself. I was surprised I knew a bunch of them too.
How good were you?
I would say 90%.
That's
Nice.
Yeah, there was like one deep cut that I didn't even know the song itself. So, but.
All right, coming up in just a few, we're going to talk about the sports.
This is the deep breathe.
All right, Jag, you had a very unique opportunity. Star Wars.
Yeah, so I must admit, and I know I'm the oddball here, and every week I get laughed at for this.
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen the original Star Wars movie once, and none of the other ones.
So
And this is the only
crazy.
movie you've even seen in your entire lifetime, right?
It seems that way sometimes, yes.
Well, that and Top Gun.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
That's it.
how do they, seriously, how have you only seen the original Star Wars
I don't
film?
even get it.
I just never got around to it. Like, movies were never a priority for me. I was popped in front of the TV as a kid, and
So, like, you don't even know who Jabba the Hutt is?
I've seen Spaceballs. I know who Pizza the Hut is.
God.
Jar Jar Binks?
I
Well,
know
wait
the
a
name.
minute. All right, we're okay with him not knowing. You're better off not knowing who Jar Jar
Yeah,
is.
see, there's good and bad.
Because it's such a big pop culture thing, I know the basics. So I know, okay, Han Solo and Darth Vader and all the Luke Skywalker. I get all that.
Right.
But I'm not super into it like many people are.
Are you?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I have two boys, too.
Oh, so they're all about it? Your boys are how old? They're
17 and 15. But I think when my son Joe was 5, he had a Star Wars themed birthday party. I mean, they had all the action figures. We've seen all the movies like right when they come out. Yeah.
So there's this big exhibit that's going on, right?
Yep, it's called Star Wars and the Power of Costume. It opened May 20th, and it's open through September 30th at the DIA. Elliott Wilhelm is the curator of film at the Detroit Institute of Arts, and I sat down with him, and this is one of those interviews where I said, tell me about the exhibit, and just let him talk, because it was unbelievable, the knowledge he had and how he explained everything.
It's really an exhibition about the responsibilities of and the power of creation. Just as making a movie takes so many different hands and so many different ideas and collaborators, we are focusing on one single aspect of that movie-making process. And it's one that doesn't get looked into a lot, but when you look at the Star Wars films and you see how characters pop off the screen and get sort of embedded into our DNA from 1977 when I saw the first one at a theater on Greenfield Road in Southfield, the old Americana Theater. I remember being there the first day and hearing the audience excitement and hearing the audience understand the story as it went along, even though there were strange names and strange places, and it was a galaxy far, far away. People knew exactly who to root for, what was going on. And ever since then, I've been kind of puzzled by, intrigued by, and a semi-student of the way that people connect with movies almost immediately.
All right, I'm not going to bother asking Jag. I'll ask you, Becky.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite costume from the movies when you think back about all the Star Wars films?
Oh, I like all the Queen Amidala stuff.
Yeah, that
just
stuff is
so regal and intricate and gorgeous, and yeah, so those would be collectively my favorites.
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah.
Well,
And there's so much about these movies that I know people connect with, but that this exhibit focuses just on the costumes and the detail, and specifically on that. I asked Elliott about that.
These costumes will, for Star Wars fans, immediately strike them in the solar plexus when they walk into the exhibition. The very first thing they're going to see when they get to the entrance are the robes that Alec Guinness wore in the first film as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And to actually see them and to realize that you're in the presence of this costume that you have encountered so many times in your life as you've watched this story unfold is remarkable. And to Obi-Wan's right is Queen Amidala, who was played by Natalie Portman in the films, wearing a magnificent regal outfit from the prequels. And it will provide Star Wars fans, I think, with a new appreciation of all of the visual inventiveness and craftsmanship that went into the prequels. We don't often think of the prequels necessarily as being the pinnacle of the Star Wars saga, but what you realize as you watch it is that George Lucas was looking for a completely different feel for those three films.
So, guys, I actually saw this. I got to be one of the first to see this at the industry preview.
you get all the cool passes, by the way. Who do you know that...
Because I'm in the tour business. So, of course, they want us to bring our people on tours there.
I just thought you charmed your way in.
Right.
Well, sometimes I do that, too. But this one, I did get an official ticket. But so what he's talking about, it's stunning. It's hard for me to describe to you guys, but you walk in these rooms, and it's very dramatic. Dark, and then each costume is lit up on a mannequin, and then to really think like these are the originals, this is what the actors were wearing. And I think being in Detroit, we're not kind of used to that. Maybe if you live in LA, you're around sort of movie type stuff all the time, but being here, it's more cars are our industry, so to go in there and see that, you just felt like you were part of something, really behind the scenes.
The one I want to know about,
yeah,
Princess Leia's gold bikini.
It's there.
It's there?
It's there. And they have this very reclining mannequin and the chain.
See, even I know about the gold bikini.
Yeah, I was going to say, you missed out on so many adolescent fantasies by not watching these movies.
Well, but see, I got to step in here because this bikini is so microscopic. So when you see this in person, you realize, damn, she had to wear this. I mean, it's practically like being naked. And, for an actress, she expressed that she was pretty uncomfortable with that.
Right.
Plus, it also was not only a tiny and a sexualized version of her, which you had never seen in the movie before. Before, she had the white gown and very, pure. So not only was she very exposed, but she was chained up. She was a captive. So it has a lot of messages about how, women are portrayed in cinema and stuff like that. And I guess with the original Smithsonian signage, it had a phrase on there like Princess Leia discovers her femininity or something like that. And so when it came to the DIA people were like, we are not saying that on our signage. That is completely inappropriate and strange. So they changed it, and they actually explained what I'm just explaining now about,
So what does it say now? When Princess Leia discovered her...
No, it doesn't say it. It's talking about how she was uncomfortable and how this was a sexual fantasy, kind of, but it's a whole different way of looking at things. And when you see it in person, I'm like, damn.
I think Me Too just ruined my childhood. I think it's what just happened.
Well, you know what? Enlighten yourselves, fellas.
Let's move on. So I asked Elliott about some of the specific costumes and characters, and one of the first things he mentioned to me was R2-D2 and how it went from concept to reality and how you can see that. And I thought this was really interesting.
R2 is in our exhibition, and he's the R2 from the original 1977 Star Wars film, A New Hope. And you can see R2-D2 up close. You can see the little holes where Kenny Baker put his feet. What you also see on the wall, very importantly, are a couple of concept drawings of what R2-D2 started as. And the first drawing you see is a small cylindrical droid with a great big ball bearing at the bottom because R2 was going to be able to roll and move in any direction he chose. Problem was, in 1976, when they were preparing the film, they realized that they could not convincingly do this in terms of technology. So they went with another concept, and you can see the concept drawings and blueprints for the original R2 there. But what you also see, one of the 3 droids in the show, is BB-8, who came on the scene with The Force Awakens. He was the original concept for R2, but movie technology has now reached the point where BB-8 could be created convincingly. There's a little kid at the Denver installation who was looking at the drawings on the wall. A kid took a look at the early R2 and the finished R2, and he said, "That's how they did it. That's where he came from."
That's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And R2-D2 is one of the favorite characters.
Oh,
I mean,
of course,
because he's kind of got all the personality and
it makes you laugh. And in the exhibit, he's with C-3PO, and that has a really fascinating video. So there's videos throughout with the actors talking about what it was like to wear these costumes. And the C-3PO guy was like, I mean, it was so uncomfortable. And they had a WD-40, the knees and stuff like that. And then they have in a case the whole like components of it. It's really cool. It's not just the costumes. And then there's a bunch of drawings for the concepts.
Because when you think about it, when they did this, I mean, what was it? 1979 was A New Hope, the first film?
77?
Okay,
Yes, yeah,
okay, 77.
They were putting it together in 76, and it came out in 77.
So it was early on. I mean, you're not talking about a lot of CGI like the later films.
No, it was all wired into the costumes. And they have a whole nother thing about how they got Darth Vader dressed. It's like a dozen steps to put the thing on.
What's interesting to me is, even though someone who's not a Star Wars buff, is how forward-thinking they were 40 plus years ago, where they had ideas of how to make this stuff that the technology didn't catch up to until 20, 30 years later. That's cool to kind of hear the whole process put together.
Wow. That's amazing.
One of the other things we talked about, there were so many characters he wanted to talk about. We only have time for a couple of them, but thought it was really interesting, and Beck, you can talk about this after, how they presented Yoda.
In the exhibition, and it's the close of the exhibition, but Yoda is a character that is, I think in the other installations that I've seen of this exhibition, was never given his due, because Yoda is a fairly small character physically, and space was saved in some of the other installations by giving Yoda less room. I felt that Yoda is a huge character. He's a spiritual powerhouse. He's sort of the spine of the entire Star Wars saga. So we wanted to make sure that Yoda, and it's the original Yoda from The Empire Strikes Back, who's on display here, was housed and lit and displayed in a room that did him justice. So some of his quotations come and go on the wall as you're spending time with him, but we wanted it to be a space where people could contemplate what he had to say. He's 900 years old. We wanted to make sure he had enough room to relax comfortably, but also a space where a lot of people could gather and were able to look back on the exhibition that they just saw, rather than, hey, there's one last little thing that you need to see before going out to the gift shop. We wanted to make sure Yoda had a space that he deserved. And that little touch that we were able to bring that off, I'm really, really excited about.
One of my favorite Yoda bits of wisdom is do or do not. There is no try.
They have that up on the wall.
My coworkers may not like me using that quite as often as I do.
You're about the same height as Yoda, though. You can kind of walk around.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
the same height.
Yeah,
yes.
you have a lot in common.
Yes,
yeah.
he's a little more spry than I am.
Do you know one of the little tidbits you find out there is his face was partially modeled off of Albert Einstein's face.
Really?
Yeah, the look of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Cool.
So you saw the Yoda in person, Becky?
Yeah, I don't think I had quite as a spiritual experience as Elliott kind of describes it as, but it was pretty cool. But it was neat to just, I'm serious, guys, like just to, every time I had to keep reminding myself, this is the real one that was in the movie. And I don't know why, but that's just what made me so excited.
In the flesh, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if he talks about the audio guides in our interview, but those, I just have to get a shout out to those, because sometimes at museums I don't even listen to those and they seem kind of lame. But the audio guide that they prepared for this is excellent.
And there's a multimedia tour. There's an adult version and there's a kid version.
And the kid version is all, I listened to that too.
You went back and listened to both of them.
I did, just to get a feel for it. And it's saying you're on a Jedi quest. So it's a whole game about, as a kid, you're training to be a Jedi.
Oh, nice.
So it's just really well done, the audio guides. I highly recommend. And they come free with your ticket.
One of the final things that we talked about was this partnership between the Smithsonian and Lucas, and it's a national exhibit, and it happens to be coming here as the new Star Wars movie is about to come out, so the timing was kind of fortuitous there, but kind of how this thing came together, and it's really a big deal.
Lucas does a lot of things, and they do a lot of things very well. But because their new Museum of Narrative Art was not completely in place, at this point, they understood that the Smithsonian Institution had such experience in carefully handling and sensitively handling traveling art exhibitions of all kinds, that a partnership between them would make absolute sense. And they've been wonderful. The Smithsonian folks sent some people to help us with the install. Our crew was magnificent. They're always great at their jobs, but they love the Star Wars characters, and they were happy to be near them and to make sure that the public was going to be seeing them beautifully. But the Smithsonian people have been familiar with these characters for a couple of years as they've toured through the United States. They know their little likes and dislikes. We didn't have to have fresh fruit for Chewbacca, waiting for him backstage, or Perrier at exactly 38 degrees, or any of those things, but they are fussy. Chewie's yak hair is delicate, and we want to make sure that it's treated with respect. So the two of those organizations, together with the museums that have exhibited this, I think do justice to the costumes and to the story that's being told, the larger story that's being told about creativity.
And you can touch that yak hair. Not on the actual Chewie, but they have a little sample of it.
Like a little patch of it?
Yeah, they have a patch of it. And they have a little button where you can make him do his noise. And that thing, exactly, that thing is giant. So it's super cool to see.
The only impression I do right there, you just heard.
Well, hey, if you're going to do one, at least it was awesome.
Thank you.
So Star Wars and the Power of Costume, and even for me who's not a Star Wars buff, I'm excited to go see this. It's at the DIA through September 30th, and he had so much to say. I sat down with him for almost half an hour. The full interview, you can get it in our free app, The Debrief, or on our website, thedebriefdetroit.com.
All right, coming up in just a bit, Becky, you got a chance to see Michael Bolton's new film about
sure did.
Detroit. We're going to hear all about it.
The Debrief. The Debrief.
Sports Report.
All right, this is the Sports Report. This is the part of the program where we find out what Jag's going to be watching on TV while Becky and I are out exploring
while we're
Detroit.
partying. Yeah.
No. This is about human interest stories that even you guys will be interested in.
All right, I'm listening.
All right.
First, I do want to hit on this. The Larry Nassar survivors at Michigan State. This is really cool. They're going to be presented with ESPN's Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the ESPY Awards on July 18th. That's ESPN's big annual awards gala. And it's always given to somebody who's really been through a lot and displayed, courage, obviously, and these abuse victims and survivors certainly have, and I think it's great that they're being recognized for coming forward. So the settlement has come out. Michigan State is going to set aside $500 million for the Victims Fund. Of that, $75 million is going to be for victims who haven't yet come forward. The remainder of it goes to the 332 who have. And the way it works, Michigan State paying this out of pocket, they're going through the legal process and seeing what they can recoup through their insurance, but that's the settlement, $500 million.
Yeah, there's some dispute about where all this money's going to come from, right? Whether it's going to come from taxpayers, whether it's going to come,
And that's still being worked out.
Yeah, but I just have to say, this is such evidence about how the culture is changing, because for so many years, especially female victims of abuse being really put through the ringer and not believed and vilified, and to have them actually honored for the bravery of coming forward to tell those stories. I don't know. As a woman, that means a lot.
And some
to
of
me.
these victims were going through what you just described. They were shunned. They weren't believed.
Absolutely.
And now it's come around, which is a wonderful thing. Speaking of galas, this was really cool. So Saturday night was the Champions for Change gala over at U of M. If you're not familiar with the story of Chad Carr, so legendary Michigan football coach Lloyd Carr, his son is Jason. Jason's son, Chad, passed away at 5 years old in 2015 from a pediatric brain tumor, a condition named DIPG. At the gala last night, there were 1,000 people, tons of celebrities. They actually roasted Michigan coach Lloyd Carr, which is not something that would happen for any other reason than this.
Wow.
And, they raised $1 million just Saturday night at this event.
That's a lot of money for one night.
That is really, for 1,000 people.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. And now the Chad Tough Foundation has now gone over $30 million. Donor funded. There's going to be a Chad Carr Pediatric Brain Tumor Center at U of M, which is going to be obviously specializing in kids who have issues with that. And part of that recruitment money is going to be able to recruit some of the foremost doctors in this field to be right here in Michigan to treat those who are in need. So this is just an amazing story, and kudos to everybody involved.
Well, yeah, that's what, I can't imagine losing a child, but that's what a lot of people say. If they can turn it around and make something positive out of it, and help other children, that's what it's about.
Here's the thing. Having a doctor who specializes in whatever it is that you need, who's around, is a big deal.
A huge deal.
I mean, you guys know a few years ago I was run over by a car and I suffered what's called a brachial plexus injury and needed a nerve surgery. And I was very lucky because I was near Stanford Hospital when it happened. Because there's only about 20 or 30 doctors in the entire country
that could have helped
who could have helped me. And the fact that one was close to me was a big deal because I would go online and do research and hear from a lot of people that were not near somebody who specialized in that. So it's important.
And you think about going to these bigger cities like Chicago or like the Cleveland Clinic or the Mayo Clinic, and to have that right here in Michigan is huge.
Center of excellence, yeah.
Let's change gears a little bit here. If you want to sing the national anthem for the Lions games at Ford Field, there are open auditions. They're happening now. You have to upload a YouTube link of yourself singing the anthem, which is a very hard song to sing.
Yes.
And we'll put the link up there at thedebriefdetroit.com if you want to.
Becky, you can do it.
No, you know what? As my husband says, when I used to, I sing a lot, but my voice is not bad, but I cannot sing on key to save my life at all.
Randy Jackson would say you're a little pitchy dog.
I'm very pitchy.
Right. Yeah.
It's not unpleasant, but it is not on key. So.
I can't sing at all.
No,
I don't have that either.
No.
Dearborn has now the Michigan Football Club. I say that because it's a soccer group. It's run by an Iraqi refugee, Abbas Al-Wisha, who helps refugee kids ages 7 to 19. And through soccer, kind of gets them acclimated to American culture and what it's like to be a responsible person as they get older. They've served over 100 kids since January of this year.
Oh, just in a few months.
So it's Dearborn, Michigan's Football Club, FUTBOL. Check it out. Very cool stuff happening down there, especially in a diverse area like Dearborn. Finally, go over to the Tigers. A little bit of some rumors of trouble in paradise for their big star, Miguel Cabrera. So Miggy used to play for the Florida Marlins, now the Miami Marlins down in Florida. And the president of the Marlins, a guy named David Sampson, was joking around saying that Miggy was stuck in Detroit and he wanted to come home to Florida.
Huh.
And then so Miggy gets asked about it, and through a team statement, a prepared statement, says that it was a big joke and a misunderstanding, and he's very happy to play here. This, among other rumors this week, that he was complaining about having to play hurt, doesn't want to play hurt anymore. So this is when your big star is a little unhappy, that makes people uneasy.
But I understand this, and you know this. I mean, we were radio guys, and the way it works in radio is you move from city to city to city. I mean, I've lived in Boston, Seattle, St. Louis, Providence, you name it. Every couple of years I was moving. And, you have an attachment to where you grew up. Yeah, it's very similar to what happens in sports. And, when I came to Detroit, no joke, I took a job. I came here for a job. The deal I made with my bosses was I'm sticking around for 3 months, and then I'm out of it, because Detroit was not on my short list of places to live.
Of course, yeah.
And this was about 3 years ago. I'm still here. I just bought a house, and now apparently have a podcast about Detroit.
Yeah,
so
I think we hooked you in pretty quick.
I guess I like it, but that doesn't always, I didn't love every city I was in, so I get it.
But, from a sports fan perspective, when you reach the level of superstardom that Miguel Cabrera is at,
he's really revered here.
He won the Triple Crown, which is the leading batting in 3 different major categories, which almost never happens in baseball. I'll spare you guys the detail of it, but it's a big accomplishment. Did that a couple of years ago. Beloved in the city. It's a big deal when there's rumors of your superstar wanting to go somewhere else or being unhappy here.
Yeah, people don't like to hear that.
I mean, I get that people don't like to hear it, but
it's not unusual.
If the guy loves Florida. Sure. I mean, what are you going to do? Look, when it's April and it's still snowing,
right?
I've never really been to Florida. I still like it a lot.
A couple other Tigers notes here. On a serious note, Alex Wilson's wife, Kristen, actually went to the high school in Santa Fe, Texas, where the shooting happened last week.
Wow.
Very personal for that family. Tigers were on the road when it happened, and she reached out to him from here in Detroit. And as far as we know, nobody they know was involved, but just really kind of hit home for the Tigers organization.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I wonder if what is going to turn the tide when it comes to gun violence in this country is kind of similar to what turned the tide when it came to acceptance of LGBTQ, which was just everybody knew somebody who was touched by it.
Exactly. And some celebrity or high-profile person.
And at the rate we're going with these shootings, it just feels like
something's got to change.
Somebody who was touched by gun violence.
I have a cousin that went to the high school outside Miami that he was a year out.
Yeah,
and he knew people that were shot.
Mean,
it's scary stuff, and it was certainly something we could go on for a long time about. Quick couple other Tigers notes. They start the week here in Minnesota, and then they come home this weekend to play the Chicago White Sox. A couple events going on this weekend. Friday night, Polish American night. Saturday afternoon, 4:10 start. You can get an Al Kaline 1968 bobblehead. So Tigers, lifelong Tigers fans will be interested in that. And Sunday afternoon, 1:10 start, Nick Castellanos bobblehead. And finally, one quick note. Congratulations to the Michigan softball team. They made the NCAA tournament for the 25th straight year. Unfortunately, they were eliminated on Sunday, but they did make it 25 straight years. It's pretty consistent, and congratulations to the program there.
Coming up in just a few, there's going to be a brand new beer garden downtown, and Becky's going to tell us all about it.
This is the Debrief.
About last week.
Every once in a while, we got to take a moment, step back, and smell the roses, and talk about what we did over the course of the last week.
Reflect.
I know, yeah. I'll tell you what I did. I'll start this week.
Okay.
I went out to, it was a suburbs weekend.
Okay, that's fair.
It was a Friday night, and sometimes you want to go out, you want a big loud party. Sometimes you want just kind of a quiet watering hole to drink.
Sure.
I went to a place that we've talked about. We've had them on the podcast. The Bean Nectar Meadery.
Yeah, don't they have like a special glass for you at this point?
Yeah, they should.
Engraved.
He has a special chair.
Oh, everybody knows your name.
I like going to that. I mean, it's just it's quiet because it's kind of away from everything in Ferndale. It's not near downtown. It's off in the boonies. There's nothing else around. Mm-hmm. You got a Uber or Lyft out there. And I just like to go in and I like to try everything that they've got on tap.
Oh, me too.
I mean, I love the samplers.
Me too.
That's the way you roll.
Everything they have on tap, it's a good thing you Ubered.
I like to taste it all.
I think we tried it. I mean, there were at least 4 flights.
Really?
Yes, there were at least 4 flights.
Well,
you look so confused trying to count.
And he's holding up 3 fingers and saying 4 flights.
It gets hard towards the end of the evening. I will say my favorite was the cherry chipotle.
Really?
Yes.
A little
really
kick
good.
to it?
It does, and this sounds odd, but it tasted a little bit like bacon.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
really?
The smoke from the
cherry
Chipotle?
smoked bacon?
Yeah, there's something about it. So I if you have not been, I highly recommend that place.
Well, and
it's just
something
a cool
about
place
when
to
there's
go.
this big old menu, you're like, I want to try it all.
Yeah.
And so then you get the flights and you can.
Cherry and bacon are 2 of my favorite things on the planet, so you just sold me.
Very
What about
nice.
you, Becky?
Oh, well, I told you guys I was going to fill you in. I saw the Michael Bolton tribute to, it's called American Dream Detroit, the film. And so it was a one-night only premiere last week, and I happened to go see it with my husband at the Redford Theater. That place was jamming. I mean, people were so excited. I don't know how many came because they're Michael Bolton fans, but there sure were very rah-rah Detroit fans.
Are you a Michael Bolton fan?
I am not.
I am not either. I mean, Michael Bolton to me always had that reputation.
Cheese.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like super soft rock.
Like Kenny G
Oh,
level.
yeah. Like it just seemed goofy. Yeah. I mean, he was there. I would say he was
How long was his hair?
short.
Oh, see?
Short. Oh, he rocks the short look for
Right.
a number
Which
of years.
is weird because that's where his superpowers come from God.
Like Samson.
Right, yes.
Well, I would say it feels like something's missing now. He's a little
Without the
more,
hair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's a little more low key.
He needs plugs, you think,
subdued.
or-
I don't know, but I went in. I tried to have a real open mind because he's from Connecticut.
Yeah.
He's Michael Bolton, and I'm thinking, what does he got to talk about Detroit? Like what does he have to say? But he bills it as a love letter to the city, and I'd have to say it's exactly as billed. I mean, it's very positive. It's very much that flavor of like, hey, here's my gift to you guys of all these Detroiters that I met that I think are awesome. And what I really appreciated about it is half the movie is history. And he did a great job, I thought, with highlighting history in Detroit and its importance to the world, really. So the reason he started doing this movie was because of his love for Motown. So he has a tribute album out there. I have not heard it, but it's all Motown covers.
Oh, it's in heavy rotation at my house.
I'm sure.
I'm thinking if you want to hear Motown, Michael Bolton is probably not your top choice.
You don't think of that, right? But he has this complete reverence for Motown. So he was coming back to Detroit over 5 years ago to start doing this movie. And then as he was here, discovered all these cool things. So it was like, this is a story that I really want to tell the world. So on the one, I'm conflicted because on the one hand, I'm like, here's a guy who spent 5 years of his life making this movie as a tribute to a city that he's not even from. But then on the other hand, I'm like, he doesn't really know it. You know?
Look, I have a lot of reference for NWA. I think they're fantastic. I love Dre. I love Ice Cube. If I went in and made a film about Compton.
No, right?
You know what I mean? I'm just saying the optics would not be good.
But what surprised me is it really is well done. And I'm telling you, this audience, you couldn't even hear half of the movie because everyone was cheering so loud.
Wow.
It was like, Ford Motor Company. Oh! Anything they mentioned. Diana Ross. Oh my God. So it was very spirited. People were ready to kind of get into this. So from that standpoint, I can't say too much bad about it because it's very positive. But I think as far as the new things, he kind of took the easy way out. It was
like what?
Well, he was highlighting things that have gotten a lot of publicity. So half of it kind of felt like a Bedrock ad.
Right. That was the review that I read that said this might as well be a tourism
promotional video.
Like a Visit Detroit promo video.
Bad, and it wasn't wrong or inaccurate, but it just had that little shiny, happy people feeling. Not a lot of real Detroit voices, I would say, but there was some.
And when you say real Detroit voices, that's how many black people were in the room?
You know what? I would say of the whole crowd, which it was sold out, every seat was taken. I'm going to say 15%.
And this city is 80+%.
Exactly. And this was in the Redford Theater. I mean, it's not like far out suburb or anything.
You got to be careful when you're listening to white people who don't actually live in downtown talking about Detroit.
And a lot of the movie had to do with...
She totally missed the irony.
I don't even...
She just wasn't going to
she missed the moment.
No,
she missed the...
I heard you, and I want to move from it because I know we could be considered hypocrites too. But here's the thing. So I thought he did a good job with doing the immigrant connection. And that's what people were cheering about more than anything, that we are a city built on immigrants and stuff. Mm-hmm. But then the celebrities he had on there were like Jerry Bruckheimer, Alice Cooper, Francis Ford Coppola. Like, they're awesome, and they had great behind, but they haven't lived here for decades.
When's the last time Francis Ford Coppola lived in...
Exactly. But he's actually, his middle name Ford is named for Henry Ford. But so they're waxing poetic.
That gets you points? Come on.
He was born here.
I guess his mom points for giving the name.
I mean...
But that's the thing. So it was there was a bit of a disconnect. And then you guys at one point... So Mitch Albom was there with him to do a Q&A after.
Like a moderation kind of
thing.
And
I think he needed Mitch to be like the legitimacy factor.
Right.
Because, he has great intentions, but he just, doesn't know all the pieces. And so... Michael Bolton kind of answered most of the questions from a publicist standpoint,
right?
And where Mitch kind of like, oh well, and then brought it down to a little bit more local level. But one thing somebody asked, how could you do this movie and sort of leave out the Coleman Young and Kwame Kilpatrick eras?
Sure.
Michael Bolton said, I'm not familiar with them. So I looked over at. And I said to my husband, did he just say what I think he said? Oh. And then he followed it up and he said, I'm sure I left some key people out and I'm sorry about that. But I really tried to showcase, blah, blah, blah.
That's like the record scratch noise.
Yeah.
When I first moved to Detroit, there was a book and I mentioned this before, Aaron Foley's book, How to Live in Detroit Without Being a Jackass, which I read and which I very much took to heart, because I think one of the things that Aaron talks about is this, notion that people think they're going to come to Detroit and, first of all, revitalize it or
save things. Yeah.
And kind of, there's this kind of messiah complex to it and those overtones, which is very disrespectful to the people who have been here for a long time.
Very parochial city. Yeah.
Now, I will say Michael Bolton did not take that tone. Like, I didn't feel that tone at all.
Okay.
I really didn't. It was just more of a kind of airhead. A little bit.
Oh, well,
it was
in
like,
that case.
He means well, and there's a lot of good stuff in it, but yeah. And like I said, I don't want to be because we are three white people talking about the city too, but we're from,
I'm not from here. I don't know anything about this place.
I'm from,
I'm trying to learn.
So basically, he wanted to do this, positive. I love Detroit. Here's why.
Yeah.
But just glossed over, to do something on that scale about this city and not know who Kwame Kilpatrick is.
That was a bit odd, yeah.
See, now what he should have done is just started a T-shirt company with a really cool slogan on it about Detroit.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what other people would do.
So,
yeah.
But did you feel like it was helpful for him to have Mitch Albom up there with him?
Yes, I did.
So what you're saying is when Seth does his NWA documentary, he's got to have Ice Cube on stage with him.
Yes.
Well, maybe not Ice Cube, but somebody that's worked.
See if Mitch Albom will come on stage when I do the...
No, I don't think that would help. I don't think that would help.
Maybe he can come on the podcast.
So, I don't know. It's a love letter. Take it for what it is. That's my review.
Coming up in just a bit, we're going to talk about the stand-up comedy shows that are going on in the Detroit area.
The D. Brief.
Food and drink.
All right, Becky, what's happening in the world of food and drink?
Okay, so there's a new beer garden downtown Detroit. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Opens this Friday, just in time for Memorial Weekend. So
summertime.
Did you guys go down over the holidays, that Cadillac Lodge? It was the real cozy with the plaid and the stuffed chairs and that kind of lodge feel. You guys really don't get out very much.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Right in Cadillac Square, outside of Campus Martius Park, there was this, it was up for a while, this enclosed tent sort of thing. That was a cozy, like, ski lodge type of feel.
Oh, yes. I do know.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Okay, it's by the downtown markets and everything.
Right.
So this is the summer version of that.
Oh,
a lot of the same, Central Kitchen is right there. They're doing some of the food. The beer's Atwater Brewery and Great Lakes Brewing Company. So it's like the summer beer garden version of a gathering place, community tables, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was really nice this winter, actually.
Super nice.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people gathered there. So that's the idea.
Maybe this is a little nitpicky, but you have Great Lakes there. They're a Cleveland brewery. Atwater, Detroit, fine. But have like Bell's or somebody.
You know what? Yeah. I don't know about the choices, and maybe it will evolve. I mean, yeah. But they're going to have your brats and pretzels and schnitzel and all, and it's going to be connected to that whole vibrancy of like really utilizing the parks all summer long with those markets that are coming back with the vendors and food trucks and sports activities, games, that kind of thing. So, hey, it gets a lot of people downtown.
Nice.
The parks just do such a great job, especially
they really do.
Summertime.
Their programming's great, music, everything, and it's all free. To be there. Of course, everything's available for purchase, but it's another option, especially for people who are like, downtown's too expensive or there's not enough things to do. Like,
go walk around.
Come on, yeah. So, Detroit has been named one of America's most vegan-friendly cities. Which is astounding to me. I mean, this used to be such a meat and potatoes town.
Right.
With very mediocre food choices and not a lot of variety.
Who's in charge of the vegan-friendly listing?
Yeah, PETA.
Well, they'd be the authority.
They are, yeah. So they placed Detroit number 6 on a list of 10 cities in the nation.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's down to all the restaurants and food trucks and variety. We have like Detroit Vegan Soul.
Yes, I've heard.
Yeah, they're so popular. They opened a second location. There's a new place coming, Chili Mustard Onions. They've been doing pop-ups for a while, and they've been in the news. They're set to open any day now. That's the place that's doing the whole vegan coney dogs and stuff. And there's another place called Veganini's Paradise Cafe. I love that name. That's on Mac. And there's various food trucks around town. Rocky's Road Brew, which is like a coffee shop with vegan items. And then my favorite is the Pink Flamingo.
Well, tell us about that.
Oh, it's so cool. So in nicer weather, every Thursday night, they're down at this urban garden in Corktown, kind of by Nancy Whiskey's bar, if you've ever been there. Not much going on like right in that neighborhood, but now there kind of is. And again, it's a gathering place. So they have great food. Including vegan options, and they have a bonfire going, live music, and a super just cool atmosphere. It feels like, your neighborhood
get together.
Yeah, just where you
almost, yeah.
get around and sing songs around the fire kind of thing.
So what I want to know is now we're going to have a sudden influx of vegans into Detroit. They're going to drive home prices up, and
you know how those I know they follow right after the artist,
right?
Yeah,
and if you're a meat eater, you get forced out because everything becomes unaffordable.
Yeah, I know.
Look,
one thing about vegan food is it's often cheaper than your meat stuff. So
depends on I guess it's
depends on where you get your meat.
Yeah, and what you want to pay
your
for
quality meat.
Not where Jag shops.
So you guys are not planning on going vegan anytime soon?
No, I will try a vegan or a vegetarian dish. I have no issue with somebody who chooses to be vegan or vegetarian. My wife was a vegetarian for 8 years.
Oh, okay.
And then she, decided as a matter of convenience, she'll occasionally eat meat, which, and she'll still sometimes choose beans and rice for dinner.
Sure.
That's just a personal preference. For me, I am meat all the way. Give me a burger, give me a steak any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
As Dennis Leary once said, bring me the cow, I'll carve off what I want and ride the rest home. It's just a personal preference, but there's so many things in Detroit for so many different groups of people. More power to you if you're going to be vegan friendly.
I mean, I'm trying to eat more vegetables just to be healthy.
Sure,
but I'm nowhere near what you would call vegan. My girlfriend is not so much vegan as picky.
Okay. That's a whole different thing.
She just doesn't happen to like a lot of meats.
Yeah.
She's like bacon and chicken, and that's it.
I'm with her on the bacon. That is a main reason I wouldn't be vegan. That and cheese.
But I will say, yes, it's caused arguments from time to time when we've gone out to restaurants because I'll pick a restaurant and there'll be nothing there that she wants to eat, and you got to deal with that.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned the bacon. This is how I know my wife loves me very much. She does not do bacon. She doesn't do pork. Just she never grew up with it being Jewish.
Yeah.
As a late night snack at the end of the night, we had a bacon bar at our Jewish wedding.
Really?
And she's
what comes on a bacon bar?
It comes out on a clothesline. All various dipped candied bacons, different dipping sauces for the bacon. I'll show you a picture.
Oh my gosh, I've never heard of that.
In fact, I should probably put it up on our Instagram.
You
I'll
should,
do that. Yeah.
the vegan.
If you are vegan and you want to taste bacon, I recommend the cherry chipotle. Like the
vegans won't like this picture on our Instagram, but yeah, we have to. But what I appreciate about vegan offerings is, just getting a chance to try something else that might be healthier. And usually I'm open to it. And if I like it better, then I'd rather eat that because it's healthier. So
fair enough.
And more humane. All right. So moving on to tea. How about tea? How do you guys feel about tea?
As long as there's liquor in it.
When I'm sick or I need to save my voice. No, I'll occasionally do like green tea with honey if I'm doing something like hosting trivia or something where I need my voice a lot.
Sure.
Just to keep the throat well lubricated.
I'm a big tea drinker every day. But I thought this was just the greatest story of an entrepreneur doing really well. So Naila Ellis Brown, she started a company called Ellis Island Tea. In 2008, she was a 20-year-old college dropout, but she had this amazing tea recipe from her Jamaican great-grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a hibiscus tea, which is a red tea, and she perfected it all natural ingredients and started, making her own. She's actually the first and only African-American woman beverage maker in the U.S. with her own manufacturing plant.
That's cool.
And that's right here in Detroit, providing jobs for Detroiters, too. So she'd been doing, fairly well, selling the tea in over 500 stores, Whole Foods, Myers, Kroger's, but regionally. And then she started in Sam's Clubs in Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. So get this, response was so good, Sam said, hey, we're going to sell it in all 600 of our stores nationwide.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, 10 years into it.
You got to ramp up for that. I mean, as a small business owner, I think it's the number 2 reason that small businesses fails because they grow too quickly.
Exactly. They can't handle the growth. Yeah.
Right. It's hard to do because,
And that's going to be scary when Sam's Club says, okay, we're going national with you.
This many bottles. Yeah.
Right,
so taking it to the next level. So I wanted to say congrats to her. She was actually a Forbes 30 under 30 business owner, and she's been getting a lot of accolades, but still needed to get it to that next, volume. So good for her. Okay, and openings for restaurants. Culantro opened in Ferndale early this month. It's a Peruvian restaurant, which I'm super excited about this because I've had Peruvian in Miami and other places around the country, and that was something lacking here in Detroit. So that's open. There's chicken, fried plantain, ceviche, all kinds of things there to check out. Mr. B's in Royal Oak is going to be putting in a speakeasy underground, which to me is so strange.
Yeah, doesn't
Royal
alcohol
Oak?
need to be illegal for you to have a speakeasy?
No, that's not what's strange to me. But Mr. B's is one of the oldest restaurants in Royal Oak and just a very basic, bar type.
Yeah, like I can picture like 25-year-olds going there
playing
on Friday
pool,
and Saturday.
not really. I don't know. So, but they're opening Johnny's underneath it. So that's going to be next month in June. Clausen, we keep saying about all these cool places in Clausen. They're getting a distillery called Weiss Distillery Company.
I saw this. This looks really cool. I mean, Clausen, because I lived there for 3 years, my first 3 years when I was here, and you just saw a bunch of restaurants open up. There was the barbecue place that opened up there, and there was a Detroit Burgers that opened up, and
I went to
Frittata
over the weekend for breakfast on Sunday. It was
that's a great spot.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're going to be able to taste their vodka, gin, bourbon, and whiskey by the end of the year. They're going to have a little tasting room there.
Oh, that's going to be close enough for me to Uber home. That's going to be
there
awesome.
You go.
The last 2 Halloweens, we've done this pub crawl that they do every year in Clausen, and it's just awesome.
And everybody's costumed out.
Costumed and drunk, and it's a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
Welcome to the D. Breathe.
Breathe. Funny stuff.
All right, Jag, let's talk about stand-up comedy.
Some big national shows coming to town this week. Thursday, May 24th, the Grammy-nominated Bobby Collins is going to be at MGM Grand Detroit. Friday, May 25th, Maria Bamford is at Royal Oak Music Theater. And Saturday, May 26th, this is a kind of, in the world of podcasting, these guys are a big deal. Yeah, dude, the podcast is going to be doing the show live from Magic Bag on Saturday. These guys, Seth Romatelli and Jonathan... remind me of his last name. Larroquette, yes, I couldn't read my own writing. They do this weekly podcast. I call it a weekly roundup of America through the eyes of 2 American Americans.
Wait, so there's a Seth and a John?
Just like on this show. I've just revealed my name.
And how long?
Damn it.
How long have they been doing this?
12 years.
Oh,
I cannot sit around with you all for 12 years.
If we did this show for 12 years, there would be 2 bodies buried in Becky's backyard.
we have talked about this, though, this idea of doing a live podcast recording in front of
that
audiences.
I like, but let's not wait 12 years.
All right, well, what are you doing next week?
Yeah, let's do it.
No, seriously, I think we should talk about whether we want to get together and find a place. I would like to do it at a brewery.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be
fit.
dangerous.
Yeah, or a distillery.
Or distillery.
Sure,
like something
sure.
like that. Maybe do a tour. Maybe record a different show. Like
I
once
like
a month.
that. Go on the road. I think it would be
fun.
fun to have an audience.
I do too.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's something.
Maybe people should email us with ideas.
All right, which one of you is going to make that happen?
You are.
You're the brains behind this whole
I know.
thing, Seth.
We don't know what we're doing.
All right, I'll work on it. I'll make some phone calls.
Some comedy shows around town this weekend. Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle has somebody you know pretty well, Seth. Dave Landau is going to be there Thursday through Saturday.
I don't know him personally. I mean, we have emailed back and forth, and I've seen him a number of times. The last 2 years, I've gone and seen him do a Valentine's Day show at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle.
Okay.
That's sort of become our Valentine's Day ritual. That dude is funny. This guy was on Last Comic Standing until he got taken down by, I think, Roseanne Barr as a judge was a little harsh.
Oh,
and,
interesting.
Yes, had some repercussions. He just joined a podcast, speaking of which, with 2 guys that you will know as a radio guy, Artie Lang.
Oh, wow.
And Anthony from the Opie and Anthony show.
Those are big names in the world of radio, yeah.
So they do a
cool.
podcast now together, and Dave Landau has just joined that podcast as kind of the third host.
Cool.
Which is very exciting for him. So he's getting out there quite a bit. But I can't say enough about this. This guy is hilarious.
All right, so he's at Mark Ridley's Thursday through Saturday. Friday through Saturday, another name you're familiar with, Jeff Horst is going to be at the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase.
Yeah,
Oh, sure, yeah.
We've been talking a lot about the big Kevin Hart special that came out.
That Mike was on.
Yeah, that Mike was on, and it featured 3 other Detroit comedians. Jeff Horst was one of them.
Right.
He was the white dude.
He was great. I remember seeing the show. It was great.
Jeff, after that, Kevin Hart brought Jeff back out to L.A. to record a 30-minute set, and that's going to be coming out on Comedy Central. I don't know if we know a date. I'll have to reach out to him and ask.
Yeah.
But that's going to be coming out. Jeff Horst is, and we were talking before about how I've done a little bit of stand-up comedy and done the open mics. I mean, nothing impressive. I remember my very first open mic at New Way Bar in Ferndale.
Oh, yeah.
Just
I like that
going
place.
to check it out. And Jeff Horst was there, and he was the first guy to ever come up and just say hello. He was so friendly. He was such a nice guy.
Oh, that's nice.
He was
that
really
sticks
cool.
with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, definitely go check out. You got to check out Dave one night and Jeff the other, I guess.
Perfect. Yeah. Other shows in town. Punchline Comedy Lounge in Southfield has Kevin Tate of BET Comic View and Def Comedy Jam fame. In the Holly Hotel, 30-year comedy vet Billy Ray Bauer with Jarrell Williams Friday and Saturday. Some comedy news, or some news that at least we find funny. If you've not heard about this, you've heard of many canine units and police dogs. We now have a police cat in Metro Detroit. The Troy Police Department has officially installed Possifer Donuts on their police department. Skewered by The Daily Show and Trevor Noah this week. Look that up on YouTube or on Comedy Central. They just had a field day with it.
That was how I found out about it, was because of Trevor Noah.
Oh, no, I think I saw it locally first, but yeah.
Why? And I say this because I'm a biased as a dog person, but why would you have a police cat? Just for stupid headlines.
The cat's not going out on the beat with them. I mean, the cat's just in the station.
It has 9 lives. I mean, why not?
Well, I think there's something about the calming presence of, a nice, furry friend.
I just have, some guys running down the street with drugs or who just shot somebody. Go get him, cat. Go.
But honestly, if you took a cat, kept their claws still on, and throw them in somebody's face, that would be a deterrent.
I'd just stick to the taser. Come on.
As long as the cat's wearing a body camera, that's all I care about.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Also, kind of a funny story, except for the owner of the house. One of the biggest demolition contractors in Detroit has been suspended for 90 days for knocking down the wrong house. They were supposed to knock down one house. Instead, they knocked down the house next door that was not cleared to be demoed. And, not off the job for 90 days pending an investigation. But
How does that even happen?
I would find this really funny, except I just became a homeowner 3 months ago.
Was the house empty? Do we know?
This is an insurance scam, right? This has got to be.
Something is up with this. Yeah.
Is that plausible to tell your insurance company, hey, I live in Detroit. They're knocking down all
I'm
these
3 months
houses.
into being a homeowner. I'm ready to do it. I'm like, yes, please.
Burn it down.
Coming up in just a few, we have planetarium shows that are going to be at Wayne State. We'll tell you all about them.
Can't get enough.
This is the Deep Freeze.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your favorite shows.
All right, Becky, Jag, I'm sure you saw it this week. There was this huge meme that went viral on social media. This is the Laurel versus Yanny.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what I'm talking about?
I sure do.
So you guys remember the gold and blue dress that was a meme that, some people looked at it, they saw a gold dress. Some people, by the way, which did you see, blue or gold? Do you remember?
I think I saw gold.
I saw gold. I remember for sure I saw gold.
I don't remember for sure. But.
So now somehow there's this audio version of this thing, which is essentially the same thing. It's this audio recording, and some people, when they hear it, hear the word Laurel.
Right.
And some people hear Yanny. Right?
I'm a Yanny.
All right, well, I'm going to play it for you. You tell me what you hear.
Laurel.
What did you
Becky's eyes
hear?
just bugged out of her head.
Okay, all week long I've been hearing Yanny, and when you just played it, I'd heard Laurel.
No.
What did you?
I swear to God.
I've heard Yanny all week. That was Yanny to me just now, too.
So
what?
I had the same thing this morning, which is that I had heard Yanny all week, and then I heard Laurel this morning.
Yeah, what'd you do to that?
I didn't do anything. That's the actual recording.
You didn't play with the bass?
No, I did not play with it. Because I have heard pitched down versions, and it changes if you hear.
Yeah, slow it down, speed it up. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, here it is again.
Laurel. Oh, my.
You changed just now.
Seriously. And I've been saying to people, who in the F hears Laurel? Well, apparently I do.
This is why when we do the podcast as a video, because the look on Becky's face and her eyes just jumped right out of her skull.
My mind is blown.
Well, it turns out this isn't the only one.
Really? There's more?
There's more out there.
Okay.
Oh.
Not only that, there are Detroit ones out there.
Oh, sweet.
All right. So we're going to listen to a couple.
Okay.
You tell me what you hear. All right?
Okay.
Here it
All
is.
right.
American.
I heard American.
American. Yeah.
American.
Yeah.
Definitely American.
See, that's weird.
What do you hear?
Lafayette.
Oh, jeez.
Interesting.
Yeah. You want to hear another one?
Yeah.
Tiger Stadium. Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, Tiger Stadium.
Tiger Stadium, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Tiger
Yeah.
Stadium. Old ballpark. There till 99, 2000.
See, I hear Comerica.
It's because you're new here. That's because you're new here.
You see? Yeah, you're so new.
I don't know.
It's the hearing of an old, because I'm a little hard of hearing.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because listen to this one.
Downriver.
Yeah, Downriver.
Downriver.
Okay, yeah.
Downriver.
I heard Taylor Tucky.
You're talking about where Becky grew up.
I don't even know if I can look you in the face.
I'm getting dirty looks.
I don't.
You're talking about
You're
where...
making that up.
Here's another one.
Kwame Kilpatrick.
The old mayor.
Kwame Kilpatrick.
Kwame Kilpatrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kwame Kilpatrick.
See, I hear federal inmate number 34217.
You get all that? Wow.
Too many syllables, I think.
Wow.
I just like to point out that Michael Bolton would not understand that joke.
No, he wouldn't. You know who Kwame Kilpatrick is, right?
I
You're
do,
familiar
yes.
with him?
Yes, I know who he is. Here's another one.
Amazon headquarters.
One more time?
What?
Amazon headquarters.
Amazon headquarters.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
See, I heard Detroit versus Alexa.
Oh, Seth! Wow, what's
coming up next?
what'd you have before you came in to record today?
All right, last one. You ready?
Okay.
Renaissance Center.
Renaissance Center.
Yep, I got that too.
Renaissance Center.
Renaissance, yeah.
See, that's weird. I got Jimmy Hoffa's burial site.
Wow. I don't know. Is he smarter than us? Is he?
You thought he grew up in another city. I think he grew up on another planet.
What happened?
This is the Deep Brief,
Want more?
your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.
Go to thedebriefdetroit.com.
All right, Becky, we've got some odds and ends going on around downtown. Tell us about it.
Lots of good stuff. At the Red Bull House of Art, closing this weekend, so it's your last weekend to see this show of their residents, Jory Minyaya, Lucia Hierro, and Gina Goico. These are 3 women artists I've been following on Instagram. I haven't seen the show yet, but they're crazy creative. There's a huge variety of stuff they make, from painting to photos to collages. You got fabric stuff. So I don't know if you guys know how this works at Red Bull.
No.
They have artists in residence for a number of months, and then at the end of their residency, they present a gallery show. These are some of the coolest events in town to go to the opening. So unfortunately, this already opened in April, but I wanted to tell you about it so you see it before it closes and a new batch of residents come in.
And where is the Red Bull House of Art?
It's in Eastern Market. It's in an old brewery building, and the gallery space down in the basement there is so cool. There's like underground tunnels and brick, and you got to check it out. Also, there's free weekly planetarium shows at Wayne State University. Those are weekly, every Friday and Saturday this summer. So, for instance, this Friday, there's one at 7 p.m. and one at 8:30 p.m. So they're going to be doing an overview of the night sky and then a full dome film that goes with it. And then Saturday morning, there's a family show. So you can reserve tickets ahead, or they have limited walk-ins. We'll put the link up on our website, but I think those are really cool, and you have a chance to see them every week. There's a Civil War remembrance at Greenfield Village this weekend, Saturday through Monday, May 26th through the 28th. This is a whole reenactors kind of gig.
Okay.
And I went a few years ago. It's pretty cool. So hundreds of people in the Union and the Confederate uniforms get out there. They're reenacting. There's artillery demos. Historians are talking.
So I'm going to be an idiot here for a minute about my knowledge of history. I mean, I grew up on the West Coast where
there was no history.
Exactly.
There was no history.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Michigan in the Civil War. What was Michigan's role in the Civil War, and you know?
See, I'm not going to be your authority.
Well,
we've had Bailey talk about being the last stop on the Underground Railroad, getting slaves to Canada, that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah. So it's pretty integral. I mean, definitely we were
on the winning side.
On the winning side. I mean, that's kind of, but definitely we were
that's all that matters.
Right, in the end of the day, but a key part, like there's a church, right there on the border, right before you cross over to Canada, that was an amazing place for the Underground Railroad.
Right.
You know, a lot of people got their freedom that way. So, but in terms of other intricacies, I have to say I'm not the expert.
All right, so we'll all head out to Greenfield Village.
You know, I think you'll learn a lot more if you go.
This is a really cool thing for Memorial Day weekend. It's always been one of my pet peeves when people get Memorial Day weekend and Veterans Day confused.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Veterans are for everybody. Memorial Day is for those who have lost their lives.
The fallen soldiers.
The fallen soldiers.
Yes.
And obviously, anybody from the Civil War has long since passed, so that's for anybody who fought in the Civil War. So it's a great weekend for it.
Yes, definitely. Motor City Brew Tours. I know you guys have heard of them.
Yeah, we had them
Friend
on
of
the
the pod,
podcast.
yeah.
Friend of the pod, yeah. So bike and brew tours, they're going on throughout the summer. They leave from various places around the city. Traffic Jam and Snug, they're in Midtown. There's also Atwater and Brew Detroit. So for instance, you can look these all up. We'll have the link on our website. But this Saturday, May 27th, there's a theme of Detroit history around the current tour that leaves from Traffic Jam. Includes a guided bike tour, and they do pretty small groups too, so you feel like you are really a part of it. And it includes craft beer and lunch.
Yeah, when he was on the podcast, Steve Johnson was fantastic, and he wrote a book about.
Yeah, the book is great.
Right,
very all inclusive.
Definitely, I've been wanting to go on one of these. It was getting cold just when we had him on the podcast.
Okay,
so
yeah, so all
really
summer
bike around.
He's got a full schedule going on.
Now he did say that it's biking first, then
beer.
Which is a clear distinction you have to make. Yes.
He doesn't want any accidents, and you do have to watch out for traffic.
Liability insurance would be just up through the roof.
Yes. Now, if you're interested in Memorial Day parades, there are so many around Metro Detroit. Just a few I can name: Dearborn, Royal Oak, Farmington, Northville, St. Clair Shores. So we'll go ahead and put up links on our website, because if you want to go to a Memorial Day parade, you got a lot of options.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, anything that we mention in the show, we put it up on our website every week. And if you join the email list, we'll actually send you that every week so you can find out more about everything.
Easy peasy.
Way easier than Googling what's happening around town.
Yes.
This is the D.
Detroit.
This is the D.
Brief.
There it is, guys. Another show in the bag.
It's a wrap.
We want to thank our guest, Elliott Wilhelm, over at the DIA for talking to us about the costumes there.
So cool.
I got to go check this out. I am a Star Wars fan.
You're going to love it.
Yeah, I would be totally... Ewoks are there?
There is an Ewok there.
How many Stormtrooper outfits are there?
A handful.
Because the Stormtroopers have changed over the years.
They have, yeah. There's a handful, and it's pretty cool to see up close the weathering on it.
Oh.
You know, the weathering on the costumes.
I'm in. I'll go check it out. A couple of things before we go. Remember, you can find this podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, whether that's Spotify, whether that's Google Play Music. While you're there, subscribe and leave a review. That helps other people find the show. And we have a mobile app. Got it for iPhones. We've got it for Android phones. And this week, Jag, your full interview that you did with Elliott about the
Yeah,
costumes.
if you're into Star Wars, he goes on and talks about all these things in the exhibit. If you're into Star Wars, you got to check out the whole thing. That's on the website, thedebriefdetroit.com, and on our mobile app.
Yeah, and of course we've got an Alexa skill now, so if you have an Amazon Echo or a Dot, all you have to do is say, Alexa, enable the Debrief podcast. Just need to say that once. Once you've said it, every time you say, Alexa, play the Debrief podcast, will come up.
She's smart like that.
She's smart like that. And if you want to get in touch with us, just text the word Detroit to the number 444-999, and we will send you a link so that you can sign up for our email list. Becky, you got anything you want to plug this week?
Just check out my website, enjoythed.com. So many tours. I think, gosh, we had one every day this past week. So lots going on there. And if you want to do a private tour, we're always up for that. Just email me.
What's up with you, Jag?
Got a new podcast up from my show, The Jag Show, this week. Talked to crisis communications expert Matt Friedman. If you see all these companies have a major problem and a PR crisis, and so many companies just completely fail, he talks about some of the things you can do and how he helps companies navigate some really difficult situations. Really good stuff.
And just a reminder, if you have any announcements that you want us to mention on the show, all you got to do is send your announcements to press, P-R-E-S-S, at thedebriefdetroit.com. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
The D Brief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.